I call this meeting of the Northeast Independent School District to order. Let the record show that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting has been duly called, and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code, Chapter 551. The time is 5:33. Item 1, School Board Candidate Orientation. A, the Board of Trustees and the Superintendent staff will meet with candidates for a position on the school board in an orientation session. Good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here this evening to attend our orientation. Before we get started, I'd like to do some introductions. I'm Shannon Grona. I'm the board president. To my right is Brigitte Perkins. She's the vice president. To her right is Sandy Hughey. She's the secretary. I'm going to do the board members first. Then we have Mr. Ed White, Mr. Jim Wheat, and Mr. Joseph Trevino. And then Dr. Gottardy is the superintendent, and his executive staff. I'm going to start with Ron Clary, who is over operations. I just know your names and what you do. So if I don't say, and you'll kind of learn that about me, I just kind of try to make fun of myself. So Dan Villarreal is the Chief Financial Officer and Director of Business Services. Did I say that right? Associate Superintendent of Business Services. I said CFO first. Dr. Donna Newman, Associate Superintendent over Campus Administration and Instruction. Dr. Sean Micah is the Assistant Superintendent over Campus Administration and Instruction. Ron is also an Associate Superintendent. And then Marie King is our Executive Assistant. Aubrey, Chancellor, who's over Communications, is not here this evening. So now what I would like for y'all to do is to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and why you would like to be a board member. And I'll start with you, Ms. Talley.
Do I use the microphone?
Sure, that'd be great.
My name is Lisa Talley. I'm the president of my neighborhood, which is North Central, which is what Robert Lee, Almas are all in my neighborhood association. I've done that for about 20 years. My son goes to Lee. My daughter graduated from Lee. I went to Lee. My husband went to Lee. We met, got married in school. And I'm a business owner.
Okay, and why would you like to be on the board?
I just thought it would be an opportunity to learn more about how our tax money is spent, to learn more about what goes on at our children's schools, just to better the children's opportunity at school and make sure that they have things, that they can go on and excel in life and they're getting the opportunities that they need.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McGinty.
Hi, I'm Daniel McGinty. I grew up in Castle Hills and went to school at Northwest Vista and then at the University of Texas at Austin. My interest in the board is to provide accountability for taxpayers and parents, as well as providing the best opportunities for students who are graduating to prepare them for life after graduation, whether that's job readiness, life skills, and their pursuits afterwards. So.
Okay, thank you.
I'm Sandy Winkley, and I am a parent. Actually, I'm a MacArthur graduate, 1985, so I am an NEISD product. I have 2 children. Sophia is a sophomore at Arizona State, and she graduated from Churchill. My son will be a senior this year, so this is my last hurrah as a parent of NEISD. I have been involved in PTA at every school, every level that my children have attended, so it just seemed like a natural transition to come from the community side of NEISD and to help make this great district even greater, on the board side, so I'm excited to see what happens.
Good evening.
Hi.
Hi. I'm Terry Williams. Currently I'm employed with the University of Texas, San Antonio. I'm director at the Institute for Economic Development. I've been there for 7 years, but I've been doing economic development in San Antonio for about 30 years. And those are the skills that I feel I would bring as a school board member, skills regarding economic development, governmental relations, small business development. I'm also, of course, a parent. I have 2 sons who are 25 and almost 27 now, but they are graduates of Roosevelt High School, Ed White Middle School, and they're also college graduates now. So the district did a good job, at least I feel. So I'm excited to have this opportunity. I look forward to it. Also been involved, been involved not just as a parent, but serving on the bond committees, the Citizens Bond Advisory Committee with the district, and serving in any capacity that I can. So now I feel that this is a good time to move to a different level and help the school board with whatever skills and knowledge that I can contribute. Thank you.
Thank you. So I would like to make a note that District 2 is Terry Williams, and you will be the only person in that race. And Sandy Winkley is District 7, and you will be the only person in that. So we will not have to run elections in those 2 districts. So Ms. Perkins and Mr. White have decided not to run. They had filed, but they have withdrawn their names today. So congratulations. We will see you in May.
Yes.
And then, for District 3, on the ballot will be Mr. Trevino, who's the current representative for that district, then Mr. McGinty and Ms. Talley. So we will only have 1 election, and it will be for District 3 this year in May. So our goal for today is to provide you with an overview of the roles and responsibilities of a board member. As a school board member, it's the ultimate volunteer position, and I do mean volunteer position because we are not paid. And some people think that we earn a paycheck. Unfortunately, we do not. TASB describes the school board service as one of the purest and most important forms of public service one can provide in a community. It's rewarding, but it's a time-consuming job. It requires a high level of dedication and teamwork. And before I tell you why I serve, I'd like to show you a short video from TASB that provides an insight on the time commitment and teamwork involved in board service. Do you have that, Jason? Oh.
Madam Chair, you may want to let them know what TASB means.
Okay. TASB is the Texas Association of School Boards, and we are members of that as a school board member. Thank you, Mr. White.
The first topic for consideration is time. The time commitment is essential before ever filing for candidacy. Beyond the time required for attending board meetings, there are other points to be mindful of in terms of time obligations.
Just be prepared to commit that time. If you want to be an effective board member, you need to be prepared to go ahead and commit some time for the progression of the district, because that's what you're striving for as a school board member. So you need to be prepared to go ahead and know how to manage that time, because you're going to be called to do various things just because you are on the school board, and also time to prepare for a school board meeting. So you're doing your research of your board packets, being informed, and not just coming in blind to your board meetings. You need to be informed and also be educated as to what's going on in your school district.
While Ted refers to the amount of time spent in preparation just for the monthly board meeting, there are many other obligations that will now dominate your time. As a board member, it is essential to be present and visible in the district at school functions. It's not enough to just go to the band concert that your child plays in. They're all your children now, and it's important to students and their parents that you are interested enough in the district functions to attend a variety. So whether it's stock shows, ball games, academic banquets, or elementary music programs, you need to make an appearance. Local events and meetings will fill a good portion of your time, but board service also requires training.
To be a good board member takes a lot of time commitment, more than people expect. They think they're going to show up for a monthly board member meeting, and it's much more involved. There's some study, and that first year is a huge learning curve. You really want to be a lifelong learner if you're going to get into the board service business, because it takes a lot. That first year you have policy and budget and personnel, and you really have to have time to study those issues and know what's going on to be a good board member.
The Texas Education Code requires that board members meet a minimum number of hours of training. The first year is extensive with a steep learning curve to get up to speed in all those areas Margaret mentioned. But each successive year requires ongoing training as well. Much of this training takes place at TASB conferences, seminars, and conventions, so of course it involves travel. The payoff there is the time it allows you to get to know your colleagues on the board and to network with others from across the state. But it is a time commitment nonetheless. Once a candidate decides to dedicate themselves to the time commitment, there are other considerations that begin to arise. Let's start with the question of why you're running for the board. What was the motivation for that decision?
If you want to choose to be on the school board, you have to come with a servant's heart. And I feel like that most people, when they begin the idea of board service or serving on the school board, begin with the idea that they're going to change the world in some way. One of the things that's kind of my aha moment is to realize that as a board member, you are one of 7 and one of a team of 8, which is 7 plus a superintendent. And that we're all function within a system in the benefit of kids. And so not one person in and of him or herself can change anything dramatically overnight.
I really like Clay's point here. If you're going to choose a run for the school board, a positive focus is a must. About 80 to 85% of a school's budget is set because of legal and personnel considerations. So no individual is going to dramatically impact a district's focus.
That's the video. Thank you, Jason. Now I'm going to share with you why I serve. I've been on the board for 6 years. I've been the president. It'll be 2 years in May. And I, like Miss Winkley, was PTA volunteer. I like to say I was a PTA volunteer extraordinaire. Volunteered all through my children's school career. I, at one point, was on 3 different PTA boards. I was on the council PTA. I was the president at Tejada Middle School, and I was on a Johnson PTA board. So I've spent a lot of my time dedicating myself to the students of the district, and that's why I ran. I felt like it was just the next logical step in my volunteerism. And I wanted to ensure that our students had the best educational opportunities that they had. I call them kids, but I do feel like, they're all our kids. I mean, we've got 66,000 kids, and it's about the students of our district. It's not just about my cluster. I am the Johnson representative, and that's what makes our board so great, is we're not about just our school or just the school that our children go to or just the schools that are in our little district. We're about every student, and that's a big part of why we all are here. We also want to ensure that our students are prepared for whatever happens after high school, whether they want to go to college or whether they want to go into the military or whether they want to get a job and start their career. So we want to make sure that we have prepared them to be the best that they can be and that they can be successful in whatever they do once they leave high school. And we want to continue that tradition of excellence. We as board members are advocates for students. We develop a vision for the district while the superintendent and staff are responsible for the daily operations. The 3 main jobs of the Board of Trustees is to set policy, adopt the budget, and oversee the superintendent's contract and evaluation. The school board policies and procedures are essentially the governing documents by which the school district and the school buildings are run. The policy development is focused primarily on the goals and desired end results for students rather than toward the daily operations. A careful, orderly process is used in examining adoption of new policies or the revision of existing policies prior to action by the board. Each policy, whether it's new or existing, has to undergo 2 readings in a public meeting before we can adopt it. The 2 readings enable the board to ask questions about the policy and offer revisions before the adoption. The board policies are available online for the community and staff, which you will see later in Dr. Gottardy's presentation. Another responsibility of the board is the annual budget adoption. We participate in a series of budget study sessions that's led by the superintendent and the chief financial officer, and it's open to the public prior to the adoption. The budget study sessions outline the district's current financial needs as well as future expenses and revenue. During the budget study sessions, details about the general fund, the debt service fund, and the school nutrition services fund are provided along with information about employee compensation and benefit plans. The board also takes action on the tax rate. Now, we do not set the value of the property. That's done by Bear Appraisal District, but what we set is the actual tax rate. And we set that for maintenance and operations tax rate that's used to fund the daily operations of the district, and the interest and sinking or debt service tax that's used to fund the principal and interest payments on the district's outstanding voter-approved bonds. The third primary responsibility of a school board is to hire and evaluate a superintendent. We oversee the superintendent's contract, and we conduct annual evaluations. The board policy outlines the procedures for the evaluation. The board also has a self-evaluation tool that we use to ensure that we have good relations, and it measures our success as a board. To guide our work in the highest ethical manner and to preserve public trust, board members follow a code of ethics. The code of ethics outline principles for equity, stewardship, conduct, integrity, commitment, and student-centered focus. Trustees and the superintendent also submit conflict disclosure statements, which are posted online. There are occasions where board members have recused themselves from voting on an award of a bid because there was a conflict of interest with the professional contract. As I mentioned earlier, and as it was stated in the video, being a school board member is a significant time commitment. Formally, the Board of Trustees meets at least 30 times a year through monthly public meetings and special called meetings in which all facets of school business are discussed. And as the TASB video mentioned, trustees are also required to complete training each year. Collectively, our 7 board members completed more than 158 hours of training in the last school year. Members also attend numerous school and district functions and activities across the district, not just in our single-member district boundaries. An example of that is tonight we were all listing which SUMAs we could attend, because SUMAs start in early March. We also try to all attend every graduation that is in June. So there are many activities that happen across the district that we try to attend. In closing, I would like to make a few points. In everything that we do, it takes a majority or 4 board members to pass an agenda item. So if one board member wants to make a motion about an item, it takes 4 board members to approve it. And that's important to note. And again, as they had stated in the video, one board member cannot ask for a change and make it happen. It takes 4 of us to effect change. And the current board members serve because we have a passion for this district. We care deeply about the students and the staff who attend and work in our schools. We serve because we hope to ensure that our students and staff have the best possible experience that they can in our schools. None of us has any hidden agenda. We aren't serving because we're trying to change something about our district. We do it for the kids. Thank you. Dr. Gottardy.
Thank you, Madam President, board members, ladies and gentlemen. So the next section of tonight's meeting, I will just be going down an agenda and sharing some things with you that I think are important from the administrative standpoint. my first comment to you tonight is to thank you very much for entering into at least an agreement tonight that, as you've heard numerous times already, the time commitment is unbelievable. And I can promise you that this school district, Northeast ISD, has been a very good school district well before my time as superintendent. And one of the main reasons for that is because of these 7 board members. As the chief administrator for the school district, our guys over here and myself, as well as many of the administrators in the district, cannot do our job effectively if we truly do not have a team of 8. And that's something that you'll hear an awful lot of. And I'm very honored, very proud to work for this board as well as any boards in the future. So I thank you for your commitment, because it is unbelievable task at hand. I loved what Mrs. Grona said a few minutes ago about each cluster. You know, I go around talking about board members and the team of 8 quite a bit, and the idea is that yes, you may come from the Roosevelt cluster, or you may come from the Churchill cluster, or the Lee cluster, or the Johnson cluster, but really, when they come to a board meeting on Monday night, we're making decisions on what's the best for all 66,000 students, and not just one particular high school or one particular cluster. So thank you very much. The district's mission statement, something that we worked on many years ago that we're very proud of, is that we challenge and encourage each student to achieve and demonstrate academic excellence, technical skills, and responsible citizenship. One thing that is very important to our success as a group, as a team of 8, is our chain of command and our communication. And our communication from these guys and from our executive staff, as well as to our campus leaders, is extremely important. I would say probably even more in 2018 than it was in 2015 or 2010. And that is because of the social media world. It is incredibly important that our team here at the executive staff, we keep the Board of Trustees apprised of things going on in the school district. Sometimes we go a whole day without texting them information about something volatile going on in the school district, and sometimes we text them 4 or 5 times a day about different things going on, because we don't want you to go to HEB and a parent address you and say, hey, I hear there's a problem going on over at, I don't know, Oak Meadow. We want you to be the first persons to hear about it, and that's difficult. That's something that we're always trying to do better, but with social media and with cell phones these days, it's an ongoing challenge and something that we take extremely serious because it is important. I will tell you that with 66,000 students, 8,500 teachers, 8,500 employees, 4,300 teachers, and hundreds of thousands of people that are very interested in the school district, whether that's a parent, a grandparent, a community or business leader, they're going to come up to you and they're going to want to know, hey, what's going on here? What's going on there? So when I speak about the chain of command, and that is the idea of the team of 8, I would tell you that as you become a board member, you're going to be called, you're going to be texted, you're going to be on Facebook, you're going to be hounded by people in the community, and the first thing that you need to do is get a hold of my office. And my office will then investigate and will do the research on what exactly is going on. What exactly, because just because somebody tells you something doesn't necessarily mean that's exactly how it happened. We have to try and do our homework and then get you the best information possible. Shannon did a great job of talking about board meeting dates and times. I asked Marie the other day, who's my executive associate, how many board meetings have we had since I became superintendent? And I don't remember the specific number. I think it was 247 in 7 years, so it's right around 250 board meetings since May of 2011. Some of those are regular board meetings, which happen once a month. Many of those are special board meetings where we have either a grievance or we have a budget study session, and we're getting ready to have 4 or 5 budget study sessions coming up here in the next, starting in April, May, and June, as well as the adoption of the budget as a board meeting. Sometimes we will have a Friday morning, 7 a.m. breakfast meeting where we need to hire somebody very quickly, or we need to do business in the district, which means that we have to convene the Board of Trustees to get approval to do something. Putting together a board meeting is a very, very important task that this group over here and myself take care of. For every board meeting that we have, and that, Marie, do you remember exactly the number? Was it 247? Okay, so there were a lot. But for every board meeting that we've had since May of 11, we posted that notice to the community 72 hours in advance. That is the law. So 72 hours in advance, we post out there right on the entryway exactly the agenda for the board meeting. And I can tell you that this group over here works for weeks on a regular board meeting agenda. We had a board meeting agenda a week ago tonight, that was right at 200 pages long. And that's, our staff was working on putting together that agenda, and it just doesn't come together overnight. I mean, there's a lot of time that goes into it. So we do take board meetings very seriously and spend a lot of time preparing for that. I would encourage you to go online. Jason, can you pull up the district webpage and go to where it says About NEISD, and then go down to where the board members are? Right there. And then the Board of Trustees. I would encourage you to go to this webpage right here, Board of Trustees, and everything that you want to know about board policies, our regulations, the Board of Trustees districts, as well as board meeting dates and times. And you can actually go back and you can see what is it that the Board of Trustees did on this date and this time, because every agenda is posted there and what action was taken at that particular board meeting. So I would encourage you to spend some time to go over the Board of Trustees website. You've already met our executive staff. I will tell you that once the election is over, we will set up meetings with individually, one of you with one of their divisions, and you'll get to spend an hour to 2 hours talking about the division of operations, the division of business services, the division of instruction and campus administration, to give you an awareness, a more detailed awareness as to what's really going on throughout the school district in the way of their particular divisions. Again, I would encourage you to go to our NEISD website. Pretty much anything that you want to know about the school district is on our webpage, to include any bond program from 1995. We had a bond program in 95, 98, 03, 7, 11, 15, and we hope to not have another bond program until 2020 or 2021, but that's still yet to be determined. I would encourage you to go to the website and learn as much as you can about the school district. Again, our board meetings are posted online. Our board agendas are online. The board policy manual, Ms. Grona did a great job of talking about what it takes to adopt a board policy. Back in the day when I first got into education, the board policy manual was a 3-ring binder, and literally it was a blue 3-ring binder, and it was about that thick. Now, over the last 10 years or so, it has become electronic, which is a good thing, but I would say it's probably about that thick if you printed every page in the board policy manual. So it's a great reference. If someone asks you about something going on in the district, you're welcome to go to the board policy section, and you can locate exactly the board policy that addresses that particular issue in the district. Board email. So as a board member, you will become part of DG Board. DG Board at NEISD.net. Do I have that right? DG Board at NEISD.net. Okay. So we have that on our website. We encourage our patrons, we encourage our parents and our students that if there's something that they want to know about, some information that's important to them, or maybe a decision that was made by the board and they would just like to share their thoughts about it, dgboard@neisd.net. Right? In fact, it's board@neisd.net. I can promise you that the patrons in this district spend time emailing the board about different issues, concerns, things going on in the school district, and this board reads every single one of those emails. And either Ms. Grona, well, not either, the staff will research and investigate what the issue is, and typically either Mrs. Grona or myself will respond to that particular patron's concern that goes to the board. In fact, I would tell you that about 90% of the time, Mrs. Grona responds to the member that emailed the board. Sometimes it's an operational issue, and she will say that that's the purview of the superintendent's office, and then somebody from this staff or myself will reply to the person who's asking on board@neisd.net. We do have a board calendar that we keep up to date that allow you to access the board calendar, and you'll know exactly in the district what activities are going on and what things that are mandated or things that we highly encourage you to attend, and board meeting dates and times and that sort of thing. Ms. Grona did a great job a while ago of saying that it's not just board meetings. This board does a great job of going to Sumas. They go to every graduation, and we have, is it 10? 10 graduations a year. In fact, if you add the one at ACE at Christmas time, it's really 11, I think, because we do ACE twice. So the board does a great job of doing their absolute best to go to every one of those graduations. I can tell you that our graduations used to be 8 nights in a row at 7:30 in the evening, 8 nights in a row. And this past year, we were able to combine 2 of them on Friday, 2 of them on Saturday, and 2 of them on Sunday. So we only do 5 nights in a row, but there are 8 graduations. And it's the highlight of the year. It's the celebration of the year that we're celebrating these young kids and all the great work that they've done throughout the course of their high school career. And graduations are a lot of fun, but it is somewhat of a marathon for 5 to 6 days, especially to coordinate the colors for each high school, especially on those two times in one day. But they do a magnificent job of coordinating the colors. For us guys, it's a little easier because we wear a dark suit and a different color tie at each graduation, so it works out pretty well. I mentioned earlier text messages. Right now, that is our best mode of communication to our board and to our executive staff, is the idea that when something is happening in the school district, we want you to know it before anybody else knows it. And we do use cell phones. I would say almost daily, and that includes Saturdays and Sundays and Sunday nights and things like that. And I would just tell you that district of 66,000 students and 8,500 employees and 144 square miles, over a $500 million budget that we adopt every year, not to mention the budget that we adopt to pay back bonds. Things work very well. And even though we've highlighted a couple times tonight that we do communicate with them through text messages about things going on, I don't want to taint the idea that that's all you hear is all the negativity all the time. It's a tool that we're able to communicate with our board about things going on in the school district that you need to know about, as well as, hey, don't forget about the Asuma coming up. Don't forget about the playoff football game on Friday night. I mean, it's a great venue, or great vehicle, I guess I should say. I don't think I can emphasize enough to you the team of 8 concept. You will hear from time to time in the newspaper or on TV where there are boards of trustees that are not doing very well. And I can tell you that that is not something that occurs here. It's because of hard work. It's because of good communication that happens between all the team of 8, and the idea that we're all working for the right thing. We're all working for the same thing. And that is really and truly to help as many kids in this school district be as successful as we possibly can. When I mentioned to you that we have over a $500,000 budget, about 86 to 87% of that budget is people. It's people. It's salaries and benefits. So when you take 87%, all that's left is about 13% that can go to computers, paper, field trips, I mean, you name it. 87% of what we do are the people in this school district. And I go around and I say this a lot, because every day of my life, somebody comes up to me and says, Dr. Gottardy, how's it going? And I always tell them the same thing. I think it's going very well. But it's really important of how the community feels that we are doing. So I ask them, well, how do you think things are going? And 9.5 times out of 10, I get a lot of great compliments about things going on in the school district. And that is because we are all trying to concentrate on what's best for the 66,000 students in this district. And that is not always easy. There's always challenges that go on in the school district, but we're constantly trying to make that happen. So I've probably taken up more of my time than I had allotted. I can promise you that everything that goes on in this school district can be fit into a 1-hour orientation session. There's an awful lot of training that you guys will have to go through, and just want to thank you for your service and thank you for your commitment. I think we're going to open it up now. If there's anyone who has any questions for me or for my staff or for this board, this would be a great time to ask us.
I do have one question, excuse my ignorance. What is SUMAS?
Asuma is a student who graduates with 100+ average in high school. So we have a weighting system for our AP. If you take an AP class, you get a 1.29 multiplier. If you take a pre-AP, I believe it's a 1.15 multiplier. So we have many SUMAs. We probably at Johnson and Reagan have 175 SUMAs. So we have 175 graduates who have a 100+ average when they're graduate. And then a Magna is 95 to 99, I think, and then. But we have SUMA. Oh, so what is a SUMA? Okay, so a SUMA is we have each SUMA gets 50 words, or I don't know. It depends on the high school, but they get to walk across the stage and they pick the student. The student picks the teacher or staff member or someone who was their mentor or who helped them the most, and so that's called a SUMA. They get to present them. So they walk across the stage and they have their 50-word comment and they talk about that person. And then there's actually a reception that happens beforehand where all the parents and the graduates and their SUMA person get to go to a little reception before the actual ceremony. Did I explain that right?
And it's not a graduation.
No,
It's a special ceremony at the high school, at each one of the 8 high schools.
Mm-hmm.
It's beautiful. It's a beautiful night.
Yeah, it's great to see the impact that our teachers have on these students.
They didn't have that when I was I was valedictorian
Oh.
of my high school class.
Yeah, you would have been a SUMA.
I do have a question regarding the training. Because in the fall or in late summer, I will be taking 2 kids to college. So when does that training happen? Is it something that's in the summer or something when the school year or before?
TASB typically has a summer session that in the past has coincided with our graduation. So I have been very limited in the summer sessions that I've been able to go to, but it's typically 3 days, and it's here in San Antonio at like the Marriott downtown, and they have different sessions during that, but it's usually early June. And then in late September, early October, whenever they can, is when they have the convention. And that's been anywhere from Dallas or Houston or Austin. And that is we typically try and all go to that. And it, again, is like we go up on a Thursday night, and it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday of training. And you can get probably, I don't know how many hours we get at that. So that's what's happened for me the past 2 years is I have not gone to summer leadership, but I've gone to the convention, and I've gotten all of my hours there. But then we also, for new board members, there's training that Region 20 does, and Region 20 is off of I-35 and Hines or Market or Coliseum. And they will do like a 2-hour board training for new board members that you can go to, or that you can get that at that summer leadership if it fits into your schedule to go to that. But there, you will be required to get some new board member training. We also provide new board member training orientation here at the district that will count towards your CE. We will ensure that you get the hours that you need. We make that happen. I'm sorry?
The dates.
And once we get all that information, Marie is awesome about the minute she gets it, she sends it to us, and then we say, yes, I can go. Or and it's also, I know Brigitte and I one time at summer leadership, we went 1 day out of the 3 because it worked into our schedule to be able to do that. So you can kind of hit or miss some of the training sessions at summer leadership. But go ahead.
Yeah, I would say though, as a new board member, if you can possibly do all of summer leadership, that's really critical, because they have classes specifically for new board members, because you really don't know what you don't know until you get in those classes. And I mean, I think we can all relate to that. And that's massively, massively helpful. That really gets you going and will give you a great sense of confidence in what you're about to do. And that will start, I mean, and TASB books them to where all you do is you just follow your little crowd. You will go all to your new member classes, and that's all you do. And they run all day Thursday, all day Friday, and half the day Saturday. And it should be, I think it's the 14th is when, June the 14th. I think that's when it is. I don't have all my TASB. I'm also your TASB director, and I don't have all those events on here yet.
But typically in August, when it's take kid to college time, because I went through that last year, there's not any kind of training stuff. I think we had new teacher orientation here at the district, but there really wasn't. I didn't have any conflicts with board stuff when I was doing that.
Thank you.
Any questions? No. Is there a board member that has?
I have a couple comments I'd like to make. This is a 4-year term. 4 years that you do this.
Sounds like a prison sentence.
It's not a prison sentence, but I think it's highly important that you understand what that commitment means. 4 years. 4 years that you go to all those graduations and you go to all those things. It's a big commitment. And I've done this for 20 years here. This has been a real passion. So it's hard for me to walk away. And so it's really important for me to know that who takes our places cares about 66,000 children, not just your area, but all of them. Confidentiality is extremely important in this job. Extremely important. You can't talk to your neighbors about what you do. You can't talk about those things because there's a lot of privacy here for children, for teachers, for all of the district. We don't always agree with one another. But what I will tell you is we have never lacked respect for one another. And that's part of what's made it work so beautifully. So for all 4 of you, I would want you to go home tonight and prayerfully consider what you're about to do. Because it is a huge job, but more than that, it's really important for these kids. I've had a full-time job this entire time, so I want you to know you can do it with a full-time job. You have to juggle some things, but it can be done. But more than anything, think about the kids. If this is not your passion to be watching over all of these children and all of these community members, you should not do this job. Thank you.
Anybody else have any comments or questions?
I'd like to follow up a little bit on the confidentiality issue. That is so vital, and like Dr. Gottardy was talking about, some boards who might be in the paper every once in a while for their lack of ethics and morals, that's never been an issue with this board. And our confidentiality is not just a nice thing to do. There's federal and state laws in place that we must honor and that we should obey. So as much as, there are instances where I literally don't share things with my husband because I don't want to put him in the spot of maybe knowing something and it slips out. So you very, very much have to be aware of those things. Almost the very first class that you will take is mandated by the Attorney General's office, and that's one on Texas open meetings. Is that the whole phrase of it? And that is the first thing, and that's required by law. So much of what we do is prescribed by law, and the legislature has their eye on us even more now than ever, ever, ever before. There was extensive legislation passed this past year, House Bill 1566, that's going to require all of us to undergo more training than we already are doing this coming year. And it highlights various things. I love how we talk about, we go to events at campuses, but we don't go unless we're invited. We have to have an invitation from the principal or from the administration. We don't drop in. That's about the height of unethical. You don't just stop in and visit. Even as a parent, you try to make sure that your principal is aware that you're going to be on campus for something. And then talking about the emails and social media, please don't come up here if you think that you're going to be getting kudos and thanks for what you do, because you're not. And in a lot of ways, it's worse now than I can recall ever. As social media ramps up with its nastiness and evilness, we don't get too many thank you emails or great job emails. What we get instead is not nice. And we always have to remember that so often that the people that are writing those emails don't know what's going on, and there's so many things that you can't share. So it does make for a challenge sometimes. And back to what Brigitte's saying, so you have to always, always, always remember why you're here. And it's for these 66,000 precious children and this incredible, incredible staff. And the work that they do, I'm a TASB director. That means I was selected by this board to represent Northeast ISD on the TASB board, one of 44 directors from around the state. So every 3 months I'm in Austin at a board meeting. And I get a chance to interact with board members from all over the state. I get a chance to see really great boards and some iffy boards in action. We're pretty blessed here. We've got people that are here for the right reasons. And that gives us a huge step up on so many other boards. A couple of years ago, we were an honor board. We were selected as an honor board in the state of Texas. We were one of 5 finalists. That's a big deal. That is a huge deal. And a couple years before that, we were finalists for the HEB board, honor board. So we've been up for those things a couple times. And Dr. Gottardy has been up for Superintendent of the Year. So we're a high-flying district, and we attract a lot of attention, good attention, because of it. So I guess, like Brigitte and Shannon, Sandy, we've come up through PTA. And I think it's safe to say that all of us, when we joined the board, thought we pretty much knew this district. No. And I was extremely involved too. I was president at Lee. I was treasurer at Jackson. I was active at Oak Meadow. I was on the council. All that stuff. Really deeply, deeply involved. Yeah. Didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
So it is a whole new ballgame. And at the same time that it's heartbreaking, it's the most incredible thing to go to these graduations, to these SUMA receptions, to see what truly comes out that is the good of public education. And there's a lot of it. So come into it with, like was said, the servant's heart. Mm-hmm. That's what it's got to be. It's not for stepping stone to a higher office, which some people do. We've seen that on this board. I've seen it on other boards. They really want to run for city council or the state legislature. That's not what we're about. Don't come into it with a personal agenda. You'll hear that term a lot. This board's never done that. We've always come with the good of the district at heart and not a personal agenda for good or bad. It has to be a team. And we do disagree.
But at the end of the day,
it's the respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's always there. So, okay.
Well, I'd like to follow on what Sandy said. I was brought into this 8 months ago. I came back from a Houston conference with PTA, Summer Leadership Seminar, and was asked. And, I thought it was going to be fun and easy and just, getting ready to go in and just do whatever you want. That's not the way it is. You have people that will approach you in the store and want to ask you questions or want to meet with you. You have to ask permission. A lot of what we do is in private. When we're in the back, we discuss a lot of things. Like Sandy said, I can't discuss anything with my wife. Yeah, and it's difficult. Sometimes you can't even go to the store because people don't like the decisions that we make. They're not always going to agree with the things that we do. And I'm the new guy. I've been doing this for 8 months. I was appointed. So I respect what y'all are doing, coming forward and wanting to be on this board. But it's a commitment we've all taken, even myself. I have a daughter at Lee who's always in my ear about everything. I have a daughter at Jackson the same way. It's difficult. I came from PTA. I put several PTAs in place last year that didn't have PTAs. Parents weren't involved. But when they see that you or me as a dad that's involved, I was on council with Northeast Council, 24 of us. I was the only dad with 23 other women. It's like having 23 wives and sisters that drive you crazy. But it's the communication, and we communicate with each other. And I commend all 4 of you for being here this evening. It's difficult. It's a difficult decision. But you stand by your convictions, you stand by what your heart tells you to do. But like Sandy said, you got to really think about what you're doing because it's a commitment. And I'm honored to have the 4 of you here this evening. Thank you.
all right. Any other questions from you all? Well, thank you all. Oh.
I would like to thank you for actually filing and running for the school board. It is a challenge, and for the ones of you that don't have to campaign this year and will not have an election in your district, that's a blessing. But 4 years from now, that doesn't mean it's going to be that easy. Somebody may file against you, and you'll have to be prepared for that. And sometime you will probably decide that, well, I'm going to let the person that filed against me have the position. And then there'll be other times when the person that filed against you may not be somebody you want on the school board because of their agenda or the attitude or what have you, then out of commitment, you will want to run to stay in your position because you care for the kids. So I, again, just thank you for your commitment and good luck to all of you. That's what make America great, is people stepping up and doing the right thing. And so I just want to congratulate you for taking the step, and good luck to all of you. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, we are adjourned, and the time is 6:28.